The first thing you notice is the smell. It's a mix of mud, sweat, and something rotten. The second thing is the sound. Artillery shells scream through the air, machine guns rattle, and somewhere in the distance, men are crying out for their mothers. And me? I'm just trying to keep my hands from shaking. This is my first battle, my first time going over the top. And if I don't make it back, I hope someone will find this diary. So here it is, the story of my first, and maybe, my last battle in World War I. We arrived at the front under the cover of night. The officers told us we were the fresh reinforcements, but the men we were replacing weren't fresh at all. They looked like ghosts, hollow-eyed, filthy, and silent. Some of them wouldn't even look at us. A sergeant pulled me aside and grinned. His teeth were yellow from tobacco, and his uniform was covered in mud. "First time in the trenches, eh, lad?" he asked. I nodded. He leaned in. "Keep your head down, and if you hear the whistle, run like hell." I wanted to ask him more, but a shell landed somewhere nearby, and he just gave me a pat on the shoulder before walking away. I didn't sleep that night. None of us did. The rats were the size of rabbits, and the lice itched like mad. But worst of all was the waiting. That was when I understood the real horror of war. It wasn't just the fighting, it was the waiting for it to begin. Dawn came slow, the mud was freezing, and my breath turned to mist in the cold air. Our captain gathered us. "Today we take the German trench, no hesitations, no turning back, just keep moving forward. The artillery has weakened their lines, they won't stand a chance." I didn't believe him, the others didn't either, but we nodded, because that's what soldiers do. I gripped my rifle. My hands were shaking so badly I thought I might drop it. Someone near me was muttering a prayer. Another was crying quietly. Then the whistle blew. I ran. We all did. Mud splattered my boots as I climbed out of the trench. Ahead of me, no man's land stretched into the horizon, an endless graveyard of barbed wire and broken bodies. The air was thick with smoke, and the ground shook as artillery pounded the enemy lines. Then the machine guns opened fire. Bullets whizzed past my ears. The man next to me screamed and fell. I wanted to stop and help him, but we had been told never to stop. So I ran. 1 step, keep moving. 2 steps, ignore the blood in the mud. 3 steps, don't look back. I saw a German soldier rise from his trench, aiming his rifle right at me. My body reacted before my brain did. I fired first. He fell. I don't know if he was dead. I don't know if he was my first kill. But I didn't stop to find out. By some miracle, I made it to the enemy trench. I jumped in, landing hard. The first thing I saw was a young German soldier, no older than me, staring at me in shock. His rifle was still slung over his shoulder. He hadn't even fired it yet. We locked eyes. For a second, we were just 2 boys caught in something bigger than us. Then my sergeant appeared, shouting, and the moment was gone. The German dropped his rifle and raised his hands. I could see the terror in his eyes. I should have shot him. That's what they trained us to do. But I didn't. Instead, I nodded and pointed toward our trench, signaling for him to surrender. He hesitated, then slowly lowered his arms. I had just saved his life. Maybe he would live to see his family again. Maybe I would too. Or maybe we were both just delaying the inevitable.